We already doing this. Okay. All right. What's up, team? How you guys doing? Let's finish out this day. What's up, Chris? How you doing, man? Yo, my cat's gonna get. Man, she might have to go with her mom. I don't know. I love her to death. It's my little girl, man, but she's been keeping me up all. I don't know why she started this stuff, but I didn't miss nothing. I got lucky, and I had that feeling this morning that the market may not do too much of anything today. And I was kind of right. So right now, I've already missed it, I feel like. But I'm not. I haven't missed it. Look at Apple, guys. That was a really nice, clear test of that 100-day moving average. I'm going to probably get calls on Apple. There's a nice hold of the 23.6 fib on the... I was actually kind of looking to see if we could pull it back down to the 50. But on the S&Ps. But there's... Look at that, right? You got a really nice test of Apple on the 100-day moving average, guys. So, fuck, I think I missed this trade. Fuck. Excuse my language. I don't mean to cuss. But how you doing today, man? Look at that. Beautiful cup. Look at that cup and handle, guys. That's a decent cup and handle. It's not bad. It's not bad. So, I think I'm going to take this and try and get maybe a couple days out of this trade. Let me look at the 15-minute chart. Maybe I can get a pullback. Maybe I'll get a pullback. And, you know, take profits up there. Of course, the camera has to go out. God damn it. 181. It's only $1 or so. So that's what I'm going to look for. Like I said, guys, that's a pretty nice setup right there. What are you guys watching? I know GNS, I think, is trying to move also. Man, look at the volume. It's so done for. It's so dead today. Kind of, I'm kind of thinking Apple. I'd much rather have it down in that area, right here. But this fucking thing. All right, so I hope you guys are all doing great today. Um, Let me see. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go and try and I might take some of these calls here on Apple. I want to see if I can. Yeah, so she's gonna hold this. She's gonna hold this pivot low right here, right, and then it's gonna take off, right? See how? Oh, it didn't get above it. It didn't get above it. It didn't get above it. Wow. I'm gonna fix this camera tonight, by the way, because I know how to fix it. I just gotta go back and redo it. I don't know why. Everything has just been thrown off. It doesn't want me to do this. It's like, bro, there's a sign. It's a sign. I'm telling you, it's a sign. There isn't anything. It was. It was. Okay, you got it about 2 hours ago. Caught 45%. Nah, you didn't sell too early because it's gonna come back down, Chris. Watch, I guarantee it. Yeah, I'm gonna show you something. Let me fix this camera. Nah, that's good. That's exactly how your day should have went. You caught a 45% trade. You know what I mean, on a day where the volume is anemic. So I this girl. that I seen on TV. This older lady. She just used the word anemic, and ever since I heard her say it and the way that she said it, I use it. That's awesome, dude. Right? I wasn't able to do anything because I was dog shit tired, but um, I I also didn't see anything. I think we've done so much. This is what I was afraid of, was that we've had so much. I mean, we're talking about from the springtime. We've just been day after day after day. The markets have just moved and moved, and I feel like today was a day where we finally came in, and it was wore out. The market was wore out, and we just it needs a rest. Right? It's done. It can't move. Its legs are done. We've wore this thing out, like, seriously, every week. Right? If you go back, man, every week it's been something. So I feel like today was, just a day to relax. And like I said, if we start seeing these small candles get put in and we trade sideways and gap up, that's going to depend on PCE. If PCE comes in line, or just if PCE comes in under or in line, and you start seeing candles like we're getting today, and we're just flat and then it gaps up, flat and then it gaps up, that's telling you we're going right back to where we were. Right? Earnings weren't that bad. CPI's coming down. The Fed might be able to lower interest rates sooner. It's just the little bit of news with China, and the time of the year that it is where the fear is coming from, and just all of a sudden we come up with every reason to be bearish, and we come up with every reason to be we can't come up with, nobody wants to, it's just like nobody wants to come up with any reason why it's bullish, even though we know, like, chances are the Fed's going to do too much too quick, right? They did it on the opposite side of town. They're going to do it on this one too, right? It doesn't seem like that they want to give it. They don't want it. It feels like every time you hear someone talk, other than Harkin, I mean, so this is relating from the guy this morning on CNBC, but he's not a Fed member. Oh, I know it was. I woke up and I seen it, and I woke up and we were up here. Yeah, we were up here when I woke up from that nap. I fell asleep. I couldn't hold on any longer. I tried, and it was out of my hands at that point, because I didn't sleep but maybe 2 hours last night. I took some melatonin, so when I thought I was good, that she was going to leave me alone to sleep, she came in just meow meow being loud. I'm like, so then I was angry, and I'm like, it's fucking 3 o'clock. I finished the stream last night at 12, fell asleep probably about like 11:30, and then I was up at 12:15, and then I was able to, and then I fell back asleep. I don't know why I was up, but I was up for like just a couple minutes. I fell back asleep, and then here she comes. So I'm gonna change that. I don't know. She just started doing this to me, guys. She's just started doing this to me. I don't know what it is. Bro, she just started doing this. It's crazy. I don't know if it's because I'm on the computer all day and she's sleeping, so that's why I'm gonna try to do those streams earlier, and so I can like play with her and wear her out. She's been my little girl, man. She's like a kid to me, and I don't know. Maybe I'll sleep in another room. I gotta figure it out though, because this market starts coming up the rest of this week. I'm done. I can't. I can't do it anymore. I really can't. I know she's getting older, but she just started doing this, and it's getting to be too much. That's true. But I don't think so. That's the thing. I thought about that. That's funny you say that, because I thought about that, but she is. I don't know if she would like. I feel like because I've tried. There's like other cats that there's one that's outside that I feed, right? Um, and I thought about taking it and getting it, just taking it to get a checkup or something. But I don't know if it's someone else's. I don't know what's going on with it, but it stays here at night, and I don't know where it goes during the day. And it it's fixed. It's got tagged on its ear or whatever. It's got its ear clip, so it's fixed. She's it's a girl, and she's clean, and I'm like, I don't know where she goes during the day, but she stays here at night. She stays right on the porch, and she has a chair that I have like a blanket out and stuff on there with on the cushion and stuff, and like even just with any dog or another cat, like when I open the screen up, she'll go nuts and try and she'll just hiss and all that stuff because I mean I don't know, she's just used to it being her, right? And she doesn't want any, she just doesn't want, anyone, her mom and dad going to anyone else. Like I don't know, you know what I mean? It's kind of like there's like I don't know if it would be. It's not necessarily jealousy, but it's more like, like what do you do? No, this is my house, right? You know. So yeah, she does. Cause she, man, like even with like sports picks and stuff like that, when I do my math for like sports for like college football and like the NFL, she's right there laying on my lap doing it with me. Like what I'll usually do during the season. So I don't do like parlays and stuff like that, but I do, right? What do I mean by that? I'll take like $20 and I'll do like five. If you start getting to like that six, like after 7 or 8 on your parlays, you're really like, you're making it really much harder on yourself. But I'll do math and I'll figure it out, and I'll take like, I don't know, 30, $40. It all depends, right? Sometimes I won't even do it, cause she'll sit there and she'll do it with me. It's hilarious. She'll lay right on my lap and she'll do it with me. And usually she would lay up here on my computer desk and stuff, but she hasn't been doing that lately. So I'm kind of thinking I got to go take her to the vet. But I feel like she's fine too though. So complete correct scores. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I can usually hit like some parlays depending on the time of the season. Uh, I can usually hit if I do it right. There's a way that I've been doing it that I used to do it. Where I will have like, if you put in the work and if you know how to handicap correctly, and kind of fool with it a little bit. Still doesn't mean you're gonna win, but um, oh man, I want to. So this thing does have volume. Sorry, but I usually like I say, like college and stuff. I do single bets anywhere, depending on how I feel about the game. And I do fairly well for myself, and I've always taken that money right into basketball season, used it for Christmas, used it for whatever. I usually just yeah, isn't it crazy? Yeah. So it's actually like you say, it's two of them, but the one is like, and the one's got like a little smushed face. Uh, and it's so cute, but it's like it won't get close or anything, and I think because it's a boy and it just, I don't know if it's been fixed, or whatever, so I think there's that part to it. But yeah, her name's Olive. We named her and everything. So yeah, she comes up, and I can call it to a T when she's coming too. As soon as when the sun starts to go down, she runs right over. So I don't know where she goes during the day. I'm really wondering about Apple. That's a nice hold of the 100-day. Look, so the market's held up here, but we're stuck. It's like I don't want to take this Apple. This is what I was going to get into, was I think we can get Apple at a better price. I really do. I think we can get Apple. Well, again, the 100-day is here, so I wonder if I can get one more test of that 100 day. Right? I feel like I can. I feel like we're going to get another test of the 100 day. I haven't looked to see what the Dow or anything's doing. But that's hilarious, Chris. That's hilarious. That's so funny. Yeah, I don't know if she's got a home or what. So, but yeah, I give her a little bit of wet food, dry food. And she's a nice cat. She's nice and soft, and she's fixed, and all that fun stuff. But I wish I could bring something in for her. I think she would probably get used to it. Maybe if I got a kitten or something. I'll think about that. I'll think about it. Or I'm just going to just do the streams earlier at night and trying to come up with the list. Like last night's stream, I watched it back and I'm like, ugh. I got to get better at this. I got to just come up, get my levels, put it out there, you know, and keep it simple. I think my ADHD gets in the way of a lot of shit for me from doing things how I'd like to do it. I find myself getting on it. I'm like all over the place. I want to see. So this volume is getting. I want to watch this volume here on Apple. See if I can find something else that's kind of setting up like Apple, because that's a clear bounce off of that 100 day. That's a nice pullback. And where's the S&P's 100 day? It's way down there. Because the thing is with Apple, I noticed a switch. I noticed a switch last week between the price action. Right? Remember how Google and Amazon were weak? And look, there's Microsoft's. Whoops, somebody's not feeling well. Somebody got COVID. The girl on CNBC got COVID. Now the other guy's going to be sick. That's a mean cough she just put out. Look, she's still coughing. She's trying to hold it in. You better get out of there, girl. Oh, wait, we might be able to catch it. We might be able to catch it. Because I know that it's behind on here.
$40,000.
I
So
seen the only message I seen was
they don't have a
plays
mortgage,
this week.
but they can't afford
Watch
to pay
Daily
the insurance
Trigger
on
for
it, and
weekly
instead
upside.
just
Wait,
keep
wait,
their
wait, wait.
fingers
What the hell?
crossed.
So was this playing the whole time?
Destroyed in a flood or
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, guys.
They would just walk away from it.
It was
Yeah,
playing
that's
the whole
exactly right.
time.
It's shocking, but given where we are with the insurance industry and everybody is seeing their policies go up, it is
She was
problematic.
coughing right on him on that one. I
Movie
missed
theaters
it.
are going to try just about anything to get people to watch a movie. Now, a
She
small
gonna be
chain
out
in
for a
Britain is
couple
letting
days.
people bring their dogs to the theater. The first movie they're offering this for
There
is
goes the
Strays,
camera.
live action.
Fuck, you'll have to let me know if that happens again, man. It's not your job to do that, though. I should have something. I should have a headphone or something going. Anyway, so I know what's going on. But here we go. We're coming into the close. I might put on a. I want to see if the S&Ps can find some type of support. I want to see if I can get. I want to get some calls on. What looks better? So that's a bounce, a pullback in the Microsoft. Maybe tomorrow into Wednesday we could get a bounce off of that 100 day. Do I want to go with Microsoft or do I want to go with Apple? There's my girl. There's Liz. Liz Young. Let me see here. Yeah, that's what I said. That's exactly what Liz said. Exactly what I said. I heard somebody say this morning. I'm not going to give out any names. You know, I respect everybody, right? I'm not here to disrespect anybody. But this mother trucker came on and said, we don't have much data this week. I said, what? And you're a trader? We don't have much data. We don't have much data, he said. I'm like, oh my God. You might want to relook at that, bud. You got the Fed's inflation tool coming out this week. You got inflation coming out from every other country, right? You got GDP. You got non-farm payrolls, which is a recessionary, which is the other factor into what they consider a recession, right? You just have retail sales, and then get these non-farm payrolls and watch for, then we'll go into the August numbers, but. So, yeah, Liz just said the same thing. We have a ton of data this week. I about spit out my coffee this morning when I heard him say that. I got a fucking migraine. No, not much on the data. Like, what? It was just funny. It was just funny. I think I might want to take... Man, there's still a decent amount of... Don't like that. I don't like that. That's a... Alright, so it's the afternoon. They're coming in. I may take a shot at... I may take a shot at Apple. Is there anything you guys are watching? I know GNS was going also. I feel like GNS, if GNS holds here, guys, we could get a nice little run on GNS, too. It's got the volume with it. I said the same thing. I said the same exact thing as Liz just said, guys. I'm going to play it for you. I said the same thing.
Higher for longer. This. I think the PCE data is going to be really important because he reiterated that as well. We talk about CPI all the time. We're going to get PCE data. He's acknowledged that it's been good for a couple months, but a couple months does not a victory make, and they're still going to continue on this path. Still a 65% chance of a hike in November. So we might see another pause through September. Then you got a built-in pause in October. In November, if they hike again, personally, I don't think they need to, but if they hike again, that could be a part where you get to the market gets to the point where it says, now we really cannot sustain these valuations anymore.
Right there.
And one or two of those lines has to move to get back into jive with what it's supposed to do from a relationship standpoint.
I mean, you gave a list of things to our producers and said that none of them suggest there's any positive signals about the near to medium term. Do you really feel that way?
I think
we're
down.
What's the S&P down?
Take a position on GNS,
3 or 4%.
Maybe the Nasdaq's down 5%. So tech stocks have obviously had a bit
with
more
a
of a
pretty
rough
tight
month
stop.
Than the others. Here's your major averages
volume.
through August. The Dow's down not even 3%.
All right,
S&P 3.5%. You really feel like there's no positive signals about the near to medium term?
I think a lot of the signals that we rest on right now that are positive are still backward looking.
We were able, so why do I think GNS can continue to go up from here? It needs to get some volume, but you have an increase in volume
That's not backward looking.
That's
the breakthrough the high
right?
here,
Consumers answer that
right,
survey
on that
based on
breakthrough
the
that,
idea,
that
okay, the
initial
market
morning
is up,
high,
inflation is
and
down,
then
I still have a job.
you held it
so
up,
I don't think that
and
it's,
on the
it's really that much of a surprise
when
that
you
confidence and
when you put in
sentiment
that double
has
bottom
risen
here
after a really
at the
strong
initial
July,
morning high,
after we passed
you
the
still
peak
had
in
a
inflation
little
year-over-year,
bit,
and we
a
had
decent
some of these
amount
lower
of volume
readings,
to
and
the
we're
upside.
3%,
Off of that
2%,
level.
We're hoping for a two-handle.
So
All
those
of
are
that
some
is
things when you
good.
guys,
Those are
if you
good
guys don't
signs.
trade small
The parts
caps,
that, from a market perspective,
some stuff to look
still
for is
bother me and still
how do you
worry me as far
react
as
at that
signals
level,
go.
and this
I
is
talk
kind of
about the yield
telling me
curve so
that
often. I
you
know I'm
could
even sick of
find
talking
this
about the
thing
yield curve, but
start
the
to
fact
squeeze.
that
I don't
this
know the
inversion
float on
continues
this.
to be here
That's the
and has
only
actually gotten deeper
thing,
again.
too,
At
that
some
you
point,
need
it
to know
does
is
have to
what
right
is the
itself.
I mean, you're
float.
saying
That
you can't
usually
get,
is a problem.
You can't
Because
get
that's a
positive on the
big
equity market until the yield
factor in
curve is no
deciding
longer inverted.
if you're able to
Is
get
that
it
what you're
moving or
saying?
not.
Somewhat, yes, because as the yield curve re-steepens, we have to even out borrowing costs. We have to even out the constriction of capital that's happened in the economy. The re-steepening that happened recently was actually a bearish re-steepening. So that doesn't make me positive on equities either. If a re-steepening happens because the short end of the curve comes down, it's likely because the Fed finally says, okay, you know what? We're done with hikes. We probably have to cut sooner rather than later. Hopefully that happens not for a bad reason. Hopefully that happens because they can just normalize rates.
Sure.
I'm not optimistic that they'll be able to wait that long to just normalize everything without something breaking in the meantime.
But I mean, we know they're getting towards the end. Does it
Sure.
really make a difference if there's 1 or 2 more hikes?
I don't think so. I don't think it makes a difference. I think it's all about messaging right now. And if Jerome Powell feels like he needs to continue to send the message that
I'm thinking
they
this
might
thing
hike
does-
again in order to not let
I
financial
don't
conditions
think it
loosen
does,
too
'cause
much,
look at the
then he'll
volume
keep sending that
decreasing here.
message. I don't think it makes much of a
there it
difference
goes. It's
whatsoever.
trying to
I think
step in.
the damage,
But
or
I
at
feel
least
like
the
this is
hiking
going
that's
to
been
just
done is
have
really
it sit up
right?
here
We went as far
and
as
watch
we
if this
could, as
thing
fast
goes
as we
after
could.
hours.
The idea is to
Watch to
constrict
see if it
capital
goes
and
after
constrict
hours.
demand. It just hasn't happened in its entirety yet, and I still think there's more to come.
All right, let's bring in CNBC contributor Bryn Talkington now of Requisite Capital Management, also here at Post 9. It's good to see you. You heard the case that Liz made.
Where's the
You agree with it or
inflection point?
disagree?
Well, you made a few cases. Let's start with the
Well,
recession.
she's definitely cautious.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no question about that.
Yeah. Let's start with the yield curve inversion because that was the last comment. I think as an asset allocator, if you look back through time, when the yield curve inverts, you look at the 10 and 3 year, the average recession starts 589 days later. It's a year and a half. That's the average. You've had 1,000 days on the long end. You've had 300 on the short end. So I think that looking at the yield curve, ultimately, the data tells you we'll get a recession. But to me, as an asset allocator, I can't allocate around that because if it takes
I'm
a year
gonna
and a half,
fix this camera,
what are
guys,
you
too,
sitting in
tonight
cash?
when I'm
What are you
done this
sitting in
stream.
what
Now that I've
assets?
got-
So I
now I've got
also,
a little bit of
though,
rest,
all
I'm
year,
going
like Liz,
to
have
fix
been
everything.
defensive.
And I'm
as
actually
an
might
asset
change some
allocation,
things
we
around.
felt going into January of 2023, we are late stage economic cycle.
I
right?
need to
And
go
think
outside and
Jay
go get
Powell
a
thought
damn
that as
tan,
well,
too,
right? When he
because
says,
I've been in the house, and
as
I'm
is
like
often the
pale
case,
as
we are
hell.
navigating by the stars under cloudy skies. I just had to laugh because that's like the opposite of Greenspan speak, which you couldn't understand any word he was saying. He was so human about it. Like, this is so hard, and we are in such uncharted waters. And so I agree with Liz about being defensive. The way we're playing it is, we're long equities. We do like energy, which is not defensive, by the way. That's very, very cyclical. But we also own a lot of covered
There it
calls,
goes.
which clearly in the first half of the year, when you have the NASDAQ and the
Where
S&P
is
going
my-
straight up, you're getting
How much
consistently
meat
called
do I
out of
have
those
on the
names and
bone
not
on
capturing the
this
full
apple?
upside.
So
But
you
as
said,
I
Chris,
heard
were
Jay
you on
Powell
weeklies?
last week, I just still
Same
staunchly
week
like ultimately I
expirations
do
for
think
those
we're late
Apple
cycle.
calls?
Because at the end of the day, the question I ask myself, do rates matter? Do rates matter?
That's
And
nice
that
you
there's
got
no way in my
40%
mind you can
on
have
them.
13 years of zero rates.
we still have
We're
a little bit
a
of room
predator
up here.
economy, whether it's at fiscal level or at
There's
the
just
consumer
no
level. You can go
volume
from 0 to
today.
5.25 and then higher.
don't wanna
and
get
then just like no
sucked in
impact,
on-
no problem. That I just don't buy that ultimately we're going to reaccelerate and have this new burst of growth, just because I do think there's going to ultimately need to be a resetting of rates, because most people still in general have very, very low yields on their credit, whether it's a consumer or at the corporate level.
What if we're, Liz, not as late cycle as Bryn and others think, in fact, that we are? That if, inflation continues to come down, growth is still pretty reasonable. I mean, you look at the Atlanta Fed GDP now.
Yeah.
Now, I granted, that's not a definitive read of anything, but it sure as heck is better than a terrible read. And it at least suggests that the economy is growing far better, even still, than most had expected it would. What if the call that we're just that late cycle is wrong?
It could be, or it could be that this part of the late cycle is just lasting a really, really long time.
I mean, I've been hearing for 2 years almost that we're late cycle.
Yeah. Well, it can last 18 months. So it could be that this is just taking longer, and there's a whole laundry list of reasons why that is,
Okay.
stimulus and all the things that we talk
75
about ad
calls also.
nauseum.
Okay, cool, man. Thanks, bro.
I find it hard to believe, even if this is, let's say, late mid-cycle, or it's the early
if
part
you
of the
don't
late cycle.
mind
Who
me
knows
asking,
where exactly? At some point, we
I
do
wonder-
have to
I mean,
transition
they
back
should
to
have
early
probably
cycle, and you're not
once I'm-
hearing really
okay,
a lot
never
of
mind,
people.
they
If you're
were in
looking
the
at
money.
economic data,
So they're
even
probably
market
down
data,
a bit. So
aside
I'm
from
not.
what happened
What I'm
in
getting at
July,
is, I'm just
market data
wondering
isn't
if I'm
telling you that
paying.
we're early cycle. I
If
don't
I'm
see
still
how we
paying
can
close to
transition
that
from late
40%
back to
if I
early
was to get
without
long.
a bump,
I don't
which
think
is
I
usually
am,
a
because I
recession.
need.
It
This
doesn't
is where I
have to
want to
be
see if
Armageddon,
the
but there
S&Ps
needs to be
do
some
break
kind
back
of
up through
resetting
here.
that brings all of this back
This
into
is where I got to
balance.
do
What's
my
the most
work.
important thing, Bryn, for whether September is this historically bad month or if it's not as bad as some people expect it to be? Does it boil down to just simply what yields do? first
do.
and foremost?
I do. I think it's the long end because when the
It's
yield,
so-
just
I
like
know, it's hilarious,
basic
isn't
yield formula,
It is
isn't that
funny.
long end's going higher? It's
I
telling you
mean,
the economy's improving. Okay, that's the
You
typical
know, whenever
base case. The
people
economy's
realize the
improving.
whole
So,
point of the capital
I don't know
markets
about
is
that
to
Atlanta
raise
GDP
capital,
number. I think everyone's scratching
right?
their
Is
head
for
on
you
that.
to
But
for
so
the
I
for
think that
you to
if
give your
yields,
money
the
to
2-year
someone
and the
else
10-year, especially the 10-year, continue to go higher. That's what really everything's
hopes
priced
of
off
getting a
priced
return.
off of. I think you're really going to challenge.
it's
I think
probably
tech
not a wise
specifically,
idea to
especially
give
like
your money
smaller
to
mid-cap tech specifically will be challenged. And I think going
corporation
into
or
especially September, no one's
company
talking about
that's
this budget
kinda
impasse
hurting on
that I
money.
promise we will be talking
Like,
about in the
you know,
next few weeks.
going-
I think
you know,
September and
having some
October
hard
will, as
times.
they have been
They
historically,
don't even own their own
will be
buildings
the
and
bulls
things.
will be in
All right,
hibernation
guys, so
over the next couple of months.
I think
just
our
because of not only
next-
seasonality but also the budget. And there's really not, I think, great news happening with the Fed's not going to be cutting rates.
What do you guys
unless
think?
something
You guys want
happens.
to do a vote?
And that's not good
Let's
news
do a
either.
vote
What if
here.
the better
Who
economy
thinks we
than
get
expected is
to?
already in rates? That's why rates
Who thinks
have gone
we
up
get to
50 to 60 basis
439
points since the beginning of earnings
before
season?
we get
Right.
It's
to?
already in there.
Right.
So why should we
444,
assume that
right?
if the Fed's closer to the end, which I
What's
think
the
we
clo-
believe
what's
that
the
it is,
nearest
that
price
rates are just
action?
gonna
Like,
continue to
do
go
we
up
break
here.
through this double
Well, they may
top? I'll
not.
make
I
it
mean, so
easier.
technically,
Are we
the
gonna
2 and
break
the
through this
10-year,
double
that
top?
5 and that 4 1/4,
Or are we gonna
like
pull
very
back to
strong
439
ceilings,
first?
And they've been bouncing around it. And so I think you'd have to have an economic fundamental like thrush
One
to
for
get them to move
439,
over that
or
and that to
whatever.
become now
I don't-
support.
you
And
pull
so I'm
whatever
not
you
in the
want. You can
camp
just
that,
put it in
that they will move
449.
above it. But you asked what's the most important thing.
Think we go
I
up?
definitely think yields come up there.
Yeah,
'cause we
I
really
mean,
don't
I
have
think
any,
we go
like,
back up,
macro
too.
data.
Well, there it
That,
goes.
to me, the
It's already
jolt
doing
is
it
going to.
now,
I know
but-
what the jolt is going to say. It's like there's still we have jobs are plentiful, but they're
No,
less
we're not.
plentiful. I don't think
We're
we're going to get
down
these big
here.
surprises.
But here's what
And
I'm
so I just
getting
think
at.
that
If
going
we
back to
can't
those
break-
yields,
you-
and that we're
you've
just
already
going to
made
have
a
to
run
muddle
up,
through the next couple of
right?
months until seasonality.
They've held it down
seasonally,
here.
November,
You-
December.
the only-
is when
the only
that-
good thing that I
that
see-
positive return
See, I don't see anything.
gets
I'm
steamed
actually
up.
neutral
Can we
because
discuss tech
if
and
I
the
look at
importance that it
this
has,
price action,
after
right?
I-
Look
you
at
know, I
what's
said
going on
Nasdaq's
here.
down 5%
You have a
or
run up to
whatever the exact number
443.
is at this point. We can
What's it
show
do?
the
It
performance
quickly
again,
rejects
just to make sure that-
443.
that I'm accurate on that.
right?
But we know that it's obviously stumbled a bit.
You have more hanging
Nvidia was the
around,
last out.
right?
There's
At
your performance
441,
mega cap.
like it
You
just
know, the
hangs
August
around, right?
losses. I
Right
mean,
here,
Apple's the one
hangs
to
around,
watch, biggest
hangs
stock in the
around,
market,
and then decides
looked a
to
little
leave.
edgy.
And then
You know,
what's
the
it do
others
again?
have done all right. The
Quickly
importance there
rejects
of Apple
443.
to what happens in
That is
September
telling
and
you
then perhaps
everything you need
beyond
to
into
know.
another
Now,
month
this
is why.
previous support
Well,
here
I think some of
probably
this stuff,
becomes
particularly for
resistance,
Apple, is
and I
probably more
think we see
China-related
439
and
before we
everything that's
see
going on in China, maybe the
before we even see
expectation
this
that we're gonna
double
have
top
issues there.
again.
Tech
Before
is
we break through
clearly
it.
very important to this market. I
Right?
think it's
Because
even
that's
more
also going to help
important
us bring the
investor
50-day
sentiment and
down,
investor psyche.
and then you're going to have
And
people.
things
They're not going
happened
to get
with
long
NVIDIA
here
after
because the
they
50 days
really
right there,
delivered on results,
right?
and the stock couldn't hold on to those gains.
you have-
I think shows that
here's
there
your-
has been a sentiment shift.
Right?
If for
That's what you
nothing
have for
else,
your
then just the
50-day.
fact that multiple expansion has been so strong
When you
and
could
so feverish
just
that we can't
wait a little
possibly
bit
continue at
and
that
get
clip
it
forever
down
Yeah, but
here.
that's
in
good,
this
though. I
environment.
mean, we had this
right?
Because
Because you haven't made that support, and then even if
Everybody's
the
looking for
50-day
this
comes
massive
down, like
bump
there's your profit,
from Nvidia
right?
on these
There's the
blowout
long
earnings
down
again,
here, and then there's
not
the
taking
long from
perhaps
being
enough
long up here.
consideration that the stock had
Because
gone up like
you're not going to
50%
get
in
through
3
that
months.
50-day on the
That
first try.
If it would have powered forward,
So
you would have
those
heard
are my
the many
reasonings
calls. Oh my
for-
gosh, I can't believe it's already up 200%, and now it goes
for
here.
why I
That's a
think
sign of more froth in the
we
market.
break
Maybe
this
the-
level
the
and
rest
retrace this.
was
We
well
get back down to
needed,
439,
especially
and
for,
then we
you know,
work
a
to
market
the
that
upside.
at least in that part of it with that cohort, looking like it was perhaps a little bit
I feel the
overstretched.
same way, Chris.
Well, and single stock analysis is
ya.
different
We'll
than
see.
broad market analysis, but
Right,
coming
we'll
into
see.
that earnings report, Nvidia was
'Cause we didn't
70%
hang
above
around
its 200-day
433
moving
at all.
average, right? Something like that.
Right, you didn't
If the
hang around.
S&P
The only time
was
you hung
70%
around there
above
was
its
here.
200-day moving
But you
average,
spent
people would be
a good portion of
screaming
the
that
day
it was way
down here.
overvalued, right? So you
Right,
have to think
it's-
about that.
it wasn't
just
like it
from
was quick
what
to
are you
leave
willing
that
to pay
level,
for
like they were
something.
quick
I
to
think
buy
the
the stock
pause is
there.
probably warranted
Right,
in
they were
big
quick
tech,
to
but I also
run
think that
these
there's a
markets up.
pullback warranted in order order to get
Again,
valuations
I'm looking
back
at
to a
Apple,
reasonable level,
and
especially in the stocks that are being
the
driven
weighting
by this big
on the
AI
S&P
craze.
has
I think I've
changed,
said this before on this
but
program. We're not going to get gratification that AI
usually
has changed the world
what Apple
in
does
the
is
next
what the
6
market
to 12
does.
months.
But is it
so those
Nvidia? Is it
valuations
what
that are
has it
Well, I
changed to
mean,
what
Nvidia
Nvidia
might,
does?
by
Is
the
what the
virtue
market
of
does.
you know, the kind of business and the guidance that
So,
they've given, they
I'm
may
not even gonna
actually
look at
realize
Nvidia.
it a
I don't
lot
even wanna
earlier
look
than
at
we
it
thought.
today. I'm in no mood to look
but then
at
they'd have to
Nvidia.
come out as the definitive winner in that space, and I don't think that we're going to be there yet. We're not sure how this is
That was
all
a
going to
joke.
play out over the
They're
next 2
one
to 3
of
years.
the definitive winners. I think
Right
we
now.
can probably say that. Right,
now,
one
yes.
of. They may not be
Sure.
the, but
Sure,
they're going to be at the top of the list.
maybe. Maybe.
Unlucky.
I mean, look back to the dot-com bubble, right? The ones that we maybe thought were winners 2 or 3 years later, maybe they weren't. So if it's a winner today, perhaps, but I don't think we're going to have a definitive answer of this is the one, this is the company that did it right and pulled ahead.
I saw Bryn shaking her head. I want to
Yeah.
hear from you before we go.
Okay, so listen, there's an AI craze. NVIDIA is the definitive winner. Let's just be clear there, okay? Their year-over-year
what am I
revenues were
doing?
up 101%. Their expenses were only up 10%. What does that tell you? They can charge whatever they want. The use cases for all of the H100, devices they're selling is the big question. And how these other companies will be able to monetize that is the big question mark. But as this craze is happening, definitively, NVIDIA will monetize it until we all find out. And so I just think by the time we find out, the AMDs and the other companies, I just think they're too far behind all of this forward buying that everyone around the world is doing.
And look at the forward PE of NVIDIA, which is below 36 now.
Right.
So people have looked at that. They've looked at the incredible decline in the stock, and it's always, oh, it's so expensive, it's so expensive, it's so expensive. The PE has actually been coming down.
Right.
This
over
kind of
the
feels
last 2
like
quarters
back
worth
in
of earnings
COVID,
periods
right?
after
You
they
guys
reported
remember on a
earnings,
daily chart
and
where we
after they
put that
gave the
W
incredible
in
guidance they
back
did,
in 2020?
the PE came down.
Right, I mean,
Didn't go up.
Jensen said on the call, he said, we have, quote, incredible visibility into 2024. He's not just like, that's just real. Those are orders that are
Yeah,
coming.
I would
And so
love
think
to be able to
that
get long down
NVIDIA
here.
continues to be,
440.
I think for investors who are wanting to play the AI
Even-
space, that to me is
Yeah,
like the known
440.
place to go. The other companies, outside of Microsoft charging $30, ahead for
440
there,
is a
which I
nice-
don't know that
would be
much
a decent
that's going
area
to
to
move the
get
needle.
long.
To me, NVIDIA still is like the best way to play. What I agree with Liz is an unknown application of those H100 chips in the future.
And by the way, all of those
I can't
PEs
really
have,
say. I
have
gotta
come
get
in
rid of this
since,
bit.
Apple was, what, 33? Now you see where it is now. It's under 29. I mean, so you have had a bit of a reset, not a full reset, obviously, relative to the multiple expansion you got in those names to get you where you were. But it's a little bit of a different story today than it was, I don't know, 3 months ago. And we'll see. We'll see you later, Bryn.
Yep.
Liz, thank you. It's great seeing you.
Thank
Liz
you.
Young here at Post 9. Let's get to our question of the day. We want to know, will the S&P 500 rise or fall in September? Head to @CNBC Closing Bell on X to vote. The results later on in the hour. In the meantime, a check on some
Yeah.
top stocks to watch. as
Here's
we
what
head
I
into
was
the
going to
close.
say with
Christina
that, Chris.
Partinelli,
Let me
what's to
show
say with
you,
that, Christina?
actually.
Well, let's start with shares of Horizon Therapeutics. They're
I think
jumping
we got
about
a really
5%
good
right
shot
now
at it.
after
I
the
just
Federal
wonder if
Trade
we can get
Commission
it
said would
cheaper. But it's
pause
like,
its
but I'm
challenge
kind of,
to Amgen's $27.8 billion purchase of Horizon.
I'm
So recall
kind
that
of,
the FTC initially filed this
big
lawsuit
breakout
against
room.
Amgen's
Yeah, what
takeover
chart
back in
is
May,
that?
arguing
640?
anti-competitive
670
practices,
right now?
specifically within its treatments for thyroid eye disease and chronic gout, because
graph.
they're saying there's no other competition in the market. The FTC's change of heart, though, occurred over the
So-
weekend as it considers a settlement that would allow the deal to close with conditions. Sticking within healthcare, shares of Boston
So look,
Scientific
let's
are
bring up
also about
Apple.
5%
Let me
higher
go
and one of
back
the best
and
performers
put
on the
this
S&P
on a
500
3-minute
after
chart.
positive results from a trial for its system to treat
That's a lower
atrial
high too,
fibrillation,
right?
which I had to Google.
That's a
It
lower
occurs
high.
in the
Lower
upper chambers
high.
of heartbeats, or I should
Double
say
top.
irregular heartbeats, and so that treatment went
I
well.
think
Shares are
I
almost
think
6%
Apple
higher.
could get
Scott?
a
All right,
we
Christina,
could get a
thank you.
better
Christina
price on
Partinelli.
Apple.
We're just
I
getting
just
started here. Coming up,
don't know
breaking down the charts. Top
about,
technician
Jeff
DeGraff
not
is
that would
flagging
also
the
tell
one
me that the
sector
100-day didn't
he
hold
thinks
then.
could be
right?
on the
If we
verge
could
of a
get it back
breakout
down
as we
into
head
like
into the end of the
this
year. He makes the case next. We're live from the New York Stock Exchange. and you're watching
178,
Closing Bell on
right?
CNBC.
178 area. But then that would tell me that you're not holding the 100-day. Let's look to see if there's any news or upgrade or anything with it. Apple Plus TV. Oh, MLS deal sets tone for streaming. It's going with Nvidia stock Monday. Well, Apple's so nearly twice as much Nasdaq. What went wrong? We go right. I'll have to look into it. But yeah, if you cannot break all, and that's all. I feel like we could get better prices, but then that tells me we're not holding the 100-day. $8 put, 50% thing. This could be 500% by Friday. It could be. You know what? Along with AMC, that's awesome. Yeah, that is a nice play, bro. That's nice. I'm on a 15-minute chart. I'm on AMD. I'm putting AMD. What the hell? Nice. At least you were in the right place today. At least you got some movement there. Yeah, that's crazy, man. That's a big drawdown. That's a big drawdown. Alright, it is coming into 3:30. I gotta make a decision what I'm doing. So, I think it could be there too, man. You said $8? Let's see. I'm not gonna say I think I could be there without looking at the chart. I don't even look at this thing. Wow.
Before Shopify, were you wondering where are my sales at? But now you're selling with Shopify. You're easily selling online, in person, and
What
beyond.
the
Discover how
is going on?
entrepreneurs use Shopify to ignite their selling. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/YouTube audio.
I think I'm still streaming, right? It says I'm live. Fuck, come on. I knew it. Energy's trading higher today. Fucking figures. I want to bring up Apple. Boop. Maybe it won't hold the 100-day. Maybe it's not going to hold the 100-day. That weekly chart didn't look good at all. That weekly chart said, yeah, I don't know, dude. Yeah, I don't know about holding that 100-day.
We are back. Energy stocks trading higher today, the only positive sector over the past month, albeit slightly. And my next guest remains bullish, seeing relative strength for the charts. In the charts for equipment and service names, he calls it his favorite area within the space. Let's bring in Jeff DeGraff of Renaissance Macro Research. Good to see you. Welcome back.
Thanks, Scott.
I mean, this space barely is going to eke out a gain, and it is barely
on
a
the
pulse,
compound a while
I
ago.
would suggest.
I haven't seen him around a while.
But why do you see that this is about to take a turn?
Well, I think a couple things really jump out to us. One is the group was, definitive leadership in the first half of the year. The sentiment got a little aggressive and frothy and then transitioned to tech. Tech now shares that frothy sentiment and I think needs to cool off a little bit, which we're seeing, frankly. And I think the overall trends in the group are still positive. Valuation, when we look at valuation from a sector-specific basis, is still the most favorable for energy of any sector. So I think this was just a big pause over the last 6 months, consolidating, buying some time, and turning. And I think, one of the areas of this may be an improvement that we're seeing out of China. I know the data and the news flow is bad, but if you look at the chart of the Chinese market, it certainly looks a lot better to us than what the news reflects. It's not a bottom yet, it's not leadership, but it certainly is bobbing along, and I think there might be some upside surprises there as we go forward.
Well, I mean, let's tackle that, because the economy is different than the market, number one.
Sure.
And number two, the market may be anticipating more stimulus and easing from the Chinese. That's number two. I think you're hard pressed to make an argument that there's quote unquote, in the word you used, improvement in China, because I don't think many people see any.
Well, in the data, right? And so the question is are the markets anticipating that, to your point? I think what's interesting when we go through and look at the data that we use to get an idea as to where we are in the cycle in China, we're actually in a pretty good spot. It's not the best spot, but some incremental improvement in growth goes a long way there because they really have tackled inflation. Inflation tends to be one of the biggest drivers of the equity markets there.
Yeah, it probably is, man, because it didn't flip back. Thanks, bro.
So I think there's something
I
to
really
that,
don't even
and
care.
we'll continue to watch
My
it.
whole
I mean, I
life
think
is
it is
upside
early,
down.
but I don't think it's early by a year, and I don't think it's early by 6 months. It might be early by a month or 3. But I think it's actually in a pretty interesting zone right here.
Do you think there's more consolidation to come in the fall
I
in
wonder
technology?
see, it's so weird. Now I'm like,
I do. I think, NVIDIA trades heavy, Microsoft trades heavy. the response to good news, some of the data that we look at, the commitment of traders data on the NDX in particular
trying to get
shows
a couple
that large
things on my
speculators
phone
are
here
pretty
real quick
aggressively
to,
positioned in the NDX. They're not usually rewarded right away. They kind of have to go through this cleansing period. So I think we're going to have more of that. Again, I don't think they're tops. I don't think they're excessively dangerous. I just think that you're going to have more shakeout and really just kind of create this apathy in the group that frustrates the bulls. And then I think it's set up all right for the fourth quarter, but I think we're going to have a little bit more of this pain and indecision over the next several weeks here.
I mean, Nvidia is only $35 off of its recent high. That's not that heavy, and you can make the argument after an initial bit of upset on the backside of the earnings report, it's actually stabilized fairly well.
Yeah, in the near term, absolutely. But if you look at the positioning, the skews, the put call data, there's a lot of interest in the upside, and usually that upside gets frustrated if it's that excessive. So I just think, again, 400 is really good support on NVIDIA. I think we can trade down to that level. We'd be buyers down at that level. But I do think that there is still a process that we have to go through to digest these earnings. Nothing unusual, nothing bearish, nothing dramatic, but just the time. And a lot of times overbought conditions will correct themselves through time, not price. Those end up being very bullish in the long run, but they are frustrating in the near term.
Well, 400 would get our attention. That's for certain. Jeff, I appreciate it. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, Scott.
All right, Jeff DeGraff joining us. Up next, Chinese EV companies popping in today's session. We'll break down what's driving those moves. In the meantime, Tesla on the receiving end of some positive analyst commentary. We'll discuss all that and more with a
I'm
Tesla
still here,
shareholder
guys. Just
after
give
this
me
break.
1 second.
And later, CrowdStrike shares are sinking. We'll tell you what's sending that
Come on.
software name lower today.
CrowdStrike?
Just ahead of earnings, too. See if
I
it could
thought
weigh
there
on
was
the
a
rest of the
downgrade on
cybersecurity
CrowdStrike.
space. Closing bell right back.
Wow, look at that, guys. No shit. It's not down that much. Well, I guess it is. 4%. So here we go. I wonder if we gap up tomorrow because of what I said about gapping up, sit inside. We trade sideways, gap up, trade sideways, gap up, trade sideways. It's if it doesn't, I'm going to be a little frustrated because it's a little hard to get long here. I mean, trading isn't perfect. It's hard to make it perfect, but you know, that's a cup and handle. Not really, because there's no, I don't know. I'm starving too. I'm hungry. Come on. Tick pick. That commercial is so funny. That shit is so funny. He said, "Oh, I thought you said." Yo, what? What? I don't get it. Yeah, I do trade small caps when it's I was saying, I was looking at GNS. Right? I was looking at GNS. I don't know what the float is on it. I figured this thing wasn't going to hold up because of that decrease in volume. And I have what was the other one? It was like F something. That's been going crazy.
We are back. Didi and XPeng moving higher on some
what
deal
did
news
Affirm
today.
do
There's
today?
both stocks up at least 3.5%. Phil LeBeau here with the details, what it might mean for Tesla. Phil?
Well, I'm not sure how much this is going to mean for Tesla, because that's basically a deal that is structured for the Chinese market. But when you talk about Tesla, the shares were moving earlier in the day, Scott, in part because of a note from Canaccord looking at full self-driving technology and how far along Tesla is, and optimism that, well, look, as they continue to develop this, especially as they focus on AI neural nets, the potential is going to be substantial. There is a buy rating, by the way, by Canaccord on shares of Tesla. Earlier in the session, the stocks moved a little bit higher. Today,
I
in the last
pulled
hour
up
or so, they've
XPEV.
given a little bit of that back. Not a whole
Just
lot of
pulled it
movement in
up.
shares of Tesla. Whether it was the XPeng news or whether or not you look at other news out of China, the fact that we'll get the NIO quarterly results tomorrow morning, a number of the foreign EV stocks
I mean,
were
there's that
moving
news
higher
that they
today
bought-
as you take
they
a look
bought
at shares.
DD's
We're going to show you also Rivian and Fisker.
stuff.
VinFast.
It was
Keep in
crazy
mind,
because
Scott,
I
VinFast
almost thought
has a
about
very
buying that
thin
DD
float.
IPO, guys.
This is going to be a
and I
very
would have got
volatile
so
stock.
screwed if I
we saw
bought
it
it.
drop by
I don't know
double
if you guys
digits
remember what
after its
happened, but
SPAC IPO
I'm so
last
glad
week.
I didn't buy
now
it,
it's
and I'm
up by
like, what was I
19%.
even thinking
Take
about
that
buying
one
a
with
Chinese
a major grain of
IPO?
salt. Do not
I
count
would've
on that
got
one
screwed.
continuing either higher or lower.
A lot of
It
people
is
got
all
screwed
over
for
the place. And
buying
remember, it's a
DD's
very,
IPO.
very thin float on that
And
stock.
what-
Sure, but I think the implication
crazy.
from the way we came into you in this story is that, you know,
They
Tesla's
pretty much
made no
came in and
secret
IPO'd
that they
it,
want a
and then they,
greater
like,
share
just
of the
pretty much-
Chinese market too.
The government,
and that's why they've been
Chinese
cutting prices
Communist
there
Party
like
pretty much stole
everywhere
all the
else.
money and said, we
Yes,
told
but-
you not
but
to
so has
IPO.
XPeng,
No, you
so has
didn't.
NIO,
Then if you
so
told them
have
to
all the
IPO, then
Chinese
you should have put
automakers.
out
And the interesting thing
a
here, Scott, is that
statewide
they've all
warning
talked about
that they were going to
Yeah,
delist them and
absolutely.
have
that does not
issues
seem to
and
be
this
ending
and that.
anytime soon, despite
It was a
earlier in the
fucking
year,
scam.
Tesla
Just like
and a
the
number
whole
of the other
fucking country
automakers
of China. I
signing
feel so
an
bad for the
agreement that
people.
there would not be
Xi
major
Jinping is nothing
moves
but
in
a
pricing.
Winnie the Pooh.
Look, the market is what the market is.
fucking
and
wannabe
as long
America,
as that pricing
but
continues
don't have
to
the
be
brains or the
challenged
balls
by
to do it.
others in that market, and there's scores of them. We're not even talking about smaller EV makers in that market. As long as that
that just
happens,
really
Tesla
pisses me
and
off when
XPeng
that
and
type
NIO
of
and
shit
the others will
happens,
have to
man.
respond.
Yeah.
With luck
Good
and
stuff,
coffee,
Phil. Appreciate it very
too.
much. That's Phil LeBeau.
Like,
Rex Wizitz, Bryn Talkington, she's back with us because she owns Tesla. What do you make of this story? I mean, it is
this
arguably the most
this is
competitive
annoying me.
EV
If
market
it does
in
it
the world.
again,
and
guys,
Tesla
I'm
wants
sorry,
to make a piece of it.
I'll fix it if I
And
see it, but
Musk, you know what? He doesn't.
I just got to
care
go back
about
through the thing
profitability so
and-
much as he
and
does growth.
Just
Well,
pretty much
first
take
of
it
all,
off
the
and put
DD
it
story,
back
this should
on.
be a cautionary tale for U.S.
but
investors
XPEV,
to steer clear
it had a
of
nice
these Chinese
breakout,
stocks because
right?
in
It had a nice
2021, DD
breakout
was at
right
18.
here.
It's at 3, right? It's a terrible investment. So that's number one. Number two is that I think that you are very right. This is a price war.
Right,
But why
look at
this
that.
war,
It's
I
got
think
a
we'll have
nice
multiple
head and
winners,
shoulders right
is
there.
that, just to give some perspective,
I
in
don't know if you see it or
2022,
not. Right there.
global EV
There's
sales
your
were
neckline.
around 9
Left shoulder,
million.
head, right shoulder.
It's expected for
I would wait.
2023.
I want to see if we could
China
pull it back.
will sell 9 million EVs.
See if you could get it
And
like right
so
here
the
around
US market,
17.
we all talk about Ford, GM, and Tesla. Doesn't really, I mean, it matters because Tesla's an American company. You really have to put your footprint and
I
sell
would look for
volume
this
in
area
China.
here.
You know
is
what
where I
China's
would-
share of the EV market is?
So you
It's
have
60%.
NIO
60%.
also
You know what the U.S. is?
9.
getting
Right.
ready
Right,
to
so that's what I'm saying.
IPO.
You have to be in the EV market, and to Phil's point, there's
Actually,
so
it
many
might
other
even be around
competitors. So,
the
so,
higher
so Tesla
17s.
wants
I'm
to
sorry.
focus
I'll
on
have to do
volume,
some work on it.
not margins at this point. Ultimately, though, and Elon has been very, very clear that for Tesla as a company to succeed, they have to be able to monetize full self-driving. They have to do more in solar, right? And so we saw
So, yeah,
some green shoots will say
1769,
that we're having adoption in the U.S.
1738,
of
there goes
the
the
supercharger.
S&Ps. There's probably
Ultimately,
goes
though,
Apple.
that full self-driving, which I think is much, much further away. Tesla's doing a lot
gotta
with their
get my
Dojo
phone.
system, which we'll say is their own AI network that's going to embed itself in some very sophisticated way. But I think ultimately the proof will be in the pudding. Is that we
I
saw
wonder
in
if we
San
could
Francisco
close.
with
I wonder
with,
if we can close this daily
with
candle.
Cruise. I think it was Cruise. Correct me if I'm
Green.
wrong.
We're getting
you know,
ready to.
had gotten into some wrecks, or maybe it was Waymo. And so the firefighters, it's like these autonomous cars are just hitting firefighters. So I think it's a long road out for all of this FSD.
Oh,
What
I
about
don't
the stock?
know. I don't know
Here
about
forward.
that. I think
It's not
you
had a great
you
month, right? Over
overly
1 month, it's down almost 11%.
drawing
Right.
it out
Now,
like
if,
these
na-
cars
if
are out
Tech
attacking
overall, if NASDAQ comes in
firefighters.
more,
They're
this is right in
going
the middle of
after
that,
them.
right?
It's right in the middle of it. I think also Goldman's recent report, I think it's the #1 shorted hedge fund stock.
One of.
I think it's the top, though, in Goldman's list. Ultimately, this company is in the S&P. What is it? The #6 holding of the S&P. So everybody owns it, by the way. Is that in the U.S., within U.S. companies, we want companies that have profit margins and growth. And so I think ultimately investors love Elon, love the story, net. But at the end of the day,
Nice, I got
you
it.
have to have margins, you have
Sweet.
to have growth. And full self-driving
All right.
can't be 10 years out.
All
It's
right,
got to be
let's
in the
do
next
it.
few years. And to
Do
me,
you
that's the
know,
risk in the name, that this keeps getting
have
pushed
those
out
calls
and
went
investors
down
get kind
from
of
when you got
exacerbated
them,
with the
Chris?
story.
All right, good
On
stuff. It's good
Apple.
to have you back. A daily double. Bryn talking. We'll
I
see you
still
soon.
don't look,
All right,
man.
up next,
This
fixed income
this
expert Dave
RSI
Albright.
is
He is back. What a
pretty
time to have him. He says
overextended.
right now is the biggest buying
wanna be a
opportunity
fool
in
and
bonds since
be up
2009. Why? He'll tell you after this break. Closing bell. Right back.
I'm gonna do some work on this real quick and a few others. I think Microsoft might be the better of the two to try and get along. But I wanna try and find one that's like that I feel like isn't so overbought. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, guys, I want to see if we can pull back and test 439. I want to see if we can test 439. And then go to the upside. Where is it? Where we're at? I think we might have just held. So what I'm looking at, and I'll show you if the camera's still on. Oh shit, it is. So if you guys look here on this hourly chart that I'm going to show you. It's 440. So we did hold it. Hold on. Damn, it looks like we did hold this as support. But we have no volume to the buy side. Yeah, the camera went out. I'm going to turn the camera back on in 1 second. But my thoughts on XPEV was that, you know, we have NIO's earnings coming out, so maybe that's another reason for that whole sector to jump. I was thinking yesterday when Bingo was on here. Look at. Yeah, it was. I was wondering why they came across the Squawk Box and said that they went and bought DD's thing on the Squawk Box, and I'm like, that was from yesterday. And then he just came on and said, yeah, that's from yesterday. I don't know what's going on here. I think we wait for NIO. I'm gonna wait for NIO's. I feel like XPEV is like, you know, it all depends. I'd have to do some work on it because it's like, is it just gonna be a Chinese? Like, are they just gonna where are they gonna deliver around the world? Like, I don't know much about XPEV really. Other than, man, look at this volume. Why is it so low?
Short-term
Yeah,
Treasury
that's
yields
what I would wait
on the
for.
rise with the 1 year hitting a 23-year high. And our next
SFT.
guest says the potential returns for bonds haven't been better since the financial crisis, all the way back to 2009. Joining us now, Dave Albright of New Fleet Asset Management. Welcome back. It's good to see you.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks for having me.
Why is this the best time for those returns since '09?
Because we're seeing discount dollar prices that we haven't seen before, going all the way back to the global financial crisis, 88 on IG corporates, 88 on high yield bonds. We're getting yields, all-in yields that we haven't seen going back to the global financial crisis. And it's a great time to, if you're not in fixed income, to be dollar cost averaging. If you're in fixed income, stay and think real hard about your reinvestment risk and also your timing if you're sitting in money market or CDs. It was the right move to get out of, your bank account, your deposit account, but think about dollar cost averaging into fixed income, especially if the Fed can orchestrate a softer landing or a mild recession. And then we look at maybe some rate cuts in the next, 12 months.
I mean, the bottom line is you're looking for yields to go lower.
Absolutely.
So
I
the
think, we've hit
stochastics on the
peak yields. The
hourly
Fed's near the
chart
end of its tightening
is
cycle.
way oversold.
Defaults are starting from a very low
Overbought, I
point.
mean. Way
And
overbought.
if they can orchestrate and thread the needle and orchestrate a soft landing,
I think I'm going to feel more
IG
comfortable
corporates
about
giving
not
you
getting
right
in
around 6%. You look at bank loans
to
yielding
something
over
this
10.
afternoon.
High yield corporates giving you
I'm gonna
about
look at
870, and then structured product giving you anywhere from
Microsoft and
6 to 8%
Apple
with
themselves and see
investment
where
grade
they're at.
ratings. It's pretty attractive.
You think the Fed's done?
So I'd say that, you have to really take a hard look at, going forward, take a hard look at the numbers. I think they made that clear at Jackson Hole that, it looks like the market's saying 50-50 for one more rate increase. Sort of the wild card would be if inflation picks up and they have to do more than that. Our bet is that you get a rate increase, they're on pause, maybe later in the year, November, December, and then they take a hard look and really have enough time to absorb the data.
play
Because
would
there's
have to be
typically a lag effect
Microsoft.
with the slowdown, as
If
we
I
know.
was to
525 basis points, 11 rate
If
increases
I was to
is
play
a
a
lot.
bounce,
So we'll have to see what the ultimate impact, and if we do get
but
that
even
slowdown.
then, it doesn't
But
seem like the
opportunities are
volume's
abundant,
there.
Scott.
You mentioned high yield. Are you at all surprised that there's little
I don't
to
know.
no
I think
stress
I think
at all
it's
in that
tricky.
part of the market?
We see defaults in the high yield market on an issuer
There's a
basis
test
is
if
about
Friday's
1.53, long-term average about
Or closed.
4.1.
We're testing Friday's
so
close
stress is
right
definitely
now.
down, but it comes to the highest credit quality in that market we've seen in history. More importantly, the access to liquidity, Scott. Not only the liquid markets are wide open, but also now you have another 1.5 trillion of private credit. So, I mean, we like it. It's a good way to get duration. We like a name like Hilton Hotels giving you solid, double B credit,
All right, thanks,
yielding
man.
a little over 7%.
Wow, that is crazy.
You think that makes sense? A life point yielding about 7 to 8%. Solid
Oh,
credit
okay,
fundamentals.
not
So
bad. All right.
there's value there. Maybe spreads are maybe fair value, but that's why we like up in quality.
Dave, we'll see you soon. I appreciate your insights very much. Dave Albright, New Fleet, joining us. Last chance, by the way, to weigh in on our question of the day. We asked, will the S&P 500 rise or fall?
I was trying to say hold on because I was eating something, but yeah, I read that wrong.
On X, the results
I thought you
are
meant
next.
like they were 175 and now they're 300 and something. I'm like, oh shit, yeah, never mind. But I just read it wrong. Feels like the volume's trying to come in here at the last couple minutes of the day to the buy side. The volume just jumped up on Microsoft. And the camera's already out again. So yeah, I'm gonna work on that tonight. I'm gonna work on it. I'm gonna fix it right after the market closes. Oh, You're right, Colin. We're gonna go up to. We still haven't broken above. I knew it. Them fucking bastards. I knew it. Look at them. Look at them buying it up. Yeah, man. I'll see you tonight, bro. Great job. You called it. There it is. It just blasted up through the highs. See if it can close. Yeah, I know. It's what I say, bro. You call it. You got it. I was saying that there. I don't know if my mic was on. That there was a bunch of volume that just came in on Microsoft. Let's see if it closes, though. Let's see if So that was my only drawback, right? Was saying I could go lower. So if I was thinking that, I was like, it looked like it wanted to go lower. If Apple wanted to go lower, then how low? Because I still don't, man, that sucks, bro. Of course, they do it in the last 15 minutes of the day. Freaking assholes. I was like, you know, we gotta stick to the 100 days right there. It's either you're gonna stick it or you don't. I don't know what just happened. Hold on.
All right, the results of our question of the day. We asked, will the S&P 500 rise or fall in September? The vote is split.
Okay,
Well,
are they
interesting.
small?
Near identical. Wow, near break even. Rise. We'll give Rise the win. We will. Up next, speaking of rising, 3M shares
JOB
are
and
soaring.
PAGS, okay.
All the details about the potential settlement sending that stock higher today coming up. That and much more when we take you inside the market zone.
This is so annoying. I'm gonna fix it here in a minute. This is the last time I'm doing this, so if I'm frozen, I'm frozen. It is what it is, right? It is what it is. I'm not fucking fixing it again. JOB and PAGS. That's nice. I mean, I wouldn't mind it down here. And I really wouldn't mind it at par value. And what is it? G Group? G Employment? Why do I have this marked out already? That's funny. We already went over this chart, didn't we? That's so crazy. Well, So there was a clear bounce off Friday's close. I think I might go for it, guys, and put on. I think I'm gonna go after this Microsoft long. Oh, it pulled it back, right? See how it rejected again? Okay. I don't feel so bad. I don't feel so bad now. We'll look to see if the SPY can hold 442.
This is the closing bell market zone. CNBC senior markets commentator Mike Santoli here to break down the crucial moments of the trading day. Plus Seema Modi on 3M's potential multi-billion-dollar settlement. That stock surging today. Christina Partsinevelos here
clearly
on
a hold of the 100-day moving average
ahead of its earnings this week.
So,
turn to you, Mike. Up 200 now on the Dow, and just because September is historically bad doesn't mean it has to be.
No, it doesn't. In fact, I was just looking back to see how bad September has tended to be if August was also down. Don't have the full numbers, but there's been plenty of instances where they both were down. You know, if you want to go back to 1930. I do think we're giving almost outsized attention to the seasonal patterns this year, and I think part of it is because they've held so well.
Yeah.
I mean, almost all year.
All right, as soon as I make this decision and I get my order and stuff in there, I will let you guys know.
Oh boy, this is what's happened in August, and now that's looming.
Well, exactly, and you know, I think there's been a lot of
I hate to be
at the rally every step
goofball
of the way because it was somehow
options
imperfect.
right
At
whatchamacallit. That's a clear low volume bounce.
What it ought to be because it was too
right
narrow,
off of the
or
100-day.
because it was going up when yields were
it's
also
a clear
rising,
low
and
volume
maybe that wasn't
bounce
supposed
off
to
of
be
the
case.
100-day
Right
moving
now,
average.
I mean, the market hasn't, with this, you know, call it a 2-day bounce, hasn't really proven a whole lot, but definitely showed you that once we got past the big known catalysts of the NVIDIA, well,
we could have a nice
granted,
day tomorrow.
Tech did not rally on good news.
I'm going to start
but that doesn't mean the news wasn't good.
Now.
So I think you still have the earnings base is pretty good, and the fact that we're trying to make our peace with a 4.2% 10-year yield. You had a 2-year note auction today. Went out at some pretty high yields, didn't really disturb the stock market. Breadth has been good today, but I still think you need another 1 or 2% in the S&P from here in the short term to say that this downtrend since the beginning of August is broken.
Been kind of crazy. I thought the craziest stat I've seen is the S&P not having back-to-back gains all month.
Exactly.
It's an incredible stat.
No, it is, and you know, it's 3/4 of the way through with the month. So it shows you that it has been very much a mean reverting market, and that's part of that that notion that Goldman was putting out there that it wasn't a very strong buy the dips reflex right now. It shows you that it's much more about we think the market's capped right here. No reason to chase it.
Shit.
On the other hand, you know, as you've been saying, 5% high to low is sort of a pullback in name only.
Yeah, I mean, the narrative makes it sound like it was a much worse month, and in the reality would.
And look, I mean, you did have the majority of stocks go down, you know, well below their moving averages, and you've had some breakage under the surface, but not terrible.
Good stock today. Seema Modi, 3M, leading the Dow, up better than 5%. What's going on?
Well, Scott, it's no doubt seen as a positive development, this potential settlement, as JP Morgan analyst Stephen Tusa wrote in his note to clients. This earplugs lawsuit involving roughly 300,000 veterans, Scott, has weighed on the stock. It's down about 13% so far.
I bought
this
some
year,
Microsoft
underperforming
calls.
its peers
I wouldn't
in the
wait
industrial
right here.
space.
I would wait.
Again, this potential settlement is giving
I don't know.
investors
I can't
a
say
sense
to wait
that
because
the
it's all
end
about,
is
you know, you
near.
don't want
I'm
to try and
hearing that
time the
3M's
market,
board
but
is meeting today to discuss or finalize the settlement. However, this
I
is
feel
just
like
one
on like
of the
a
legal
3-minute,
overhangs
5-minute
that
chart,
3M
you
is
can get a
facing. It's
pullback.
still awaiting a final approval of the Forever Chemicals lawsuits that have been tied to illnesses.
Man,
and that's
look
why
at
the
that
focus
volume
has
on the
really
SPY
turned
too,
to
though.
how 3M is going to pay for all of this. Tusa did add that
It's
3M's high
clearly to the
dividend
sell
payout
side.
is a risk. The stock is currently yielding around a 6.1% dividend, and other analysts
So
have
we'll
also
see
said that 3M may have
comes
to
from
cut
here,
its
but I
dividend
did. I
after
grabbed
the
some
company
Microsoft
spins off
calls.
its healthcare business, Scott.
We'll see where they're at.
Seema,
If I can
thank
get a couple
you. Seema
dollars
Modi
out
now
of them.
to CrowdStrike. Christina Partsinevelos.
We were
this
just at
company
that
reports
area on
earnings this week,
Thursday,
and a
so
downgrade ahead of that.
Exactly,
I'm gonna
and the
look
reason we're seeing that
for,
downgrade is it's all about cuts to spending,
you know,
and more
even if I
specifically
can get
IT spending.
back up to
Morgan
that-
Stanley downgrading CrowdStrike to equal weight with a lower price target of
I don't know,
$167, like you said, ahead of
330 area.
earnings that are out on Wednesday. The analysts are worried that larger customers
I mean,
like
they're
Home
green
Depot,
now.
Target
I'm
are
already
spending
green on
more
them.
cautiously. That means spreading out the costs over time with smaller deal sizes.
I'm just hoping
they
to be
also
able to use
anticipate
that
a
low
cut
volume
to net
pullback.
new annual reoccurring revenue estimates, which is a key metric for a lot of the software space. But it's
not just about CrowdStrike. Morgan Stanley also says that the cut to cybersecurity spending in general could continue next year with a recovery only in 2025. So negative for a lot of the names that you're seeing on your screen. But I'd like to point out, we're talking about Morgan Stanley. Yes, the stock is down because of this downgrade, but it runs counter to a lot of other brokers that I was reading some reports from RBC, UBS, Wells Fargo. All of them increased their price target ahead of CrowdStrike's earnings. Separately, Scott, Bloomberg reported just last Friday that cloud cybersecurity startup Wiz is considering buying publicly traded SentinelOne, which is a competitor to CrowdStrike. I bring this up, even though it's still early days, this would be a new, larger platform, and that would intensify competition, and why you see the divergence in stock prices ever since Friday.
Yeah. I think they should report on Labor Day Friday. I mean, why not? Why not? Why Wednesday?
Why Friday? Is this just like punishment for me to stay late?
Well, I'm alluding back to Palo Alto. Come on,
yes,
you know where I was going with that.
I know that's what you're doing, and it worked out for them because we spoke about it so many times. They didn't, blow the earnings or anything like that. If anything, the stock bump was up because so many people were paying attention.
If we can just get through 324 and hold that,
I don't understand that whole.
If we can hold 324, we'd be all right.
Opportunity to stay late and cover something exciting. No, I do think it was interesting that downgrade.
This is the guy who's done taking stock on a couple of Fridays.
That's right, exactly. That was entirely my choice.
The high and the low.
What really,
okay, so I
think
didn't
is
do
interesting
too
about
bad.
the downgrade too is just this window on.
So the high and the low on these calls that I
got.
got.
Attention on the fact that it's often a layer
I didn't buy
of
it too
service
far
on
off
top
the lows. I'm going
of
to
an
say it.
AWS contract, and so
I'm
you
gonna
have
put
the
it to
client
you like
still in
that.
this mode of trying to restrict
lows
spending
are at 21
trying
cents.
to meter the spending more carefully, and
I
what
got
does
them
that
at
mean
26.
flowing through? So I don't think this
So
is
that's not
part of
bad.
that story
They're
of,
probably
well,
down
if
now,
everybody's
though.
spending hand
Or
over
probably
fist
break
on
even.
AI capabilities, what's getting left behind or what's being foregone. But it's still in that idea that we still have a disciplined IT buyer right now. Stock had has held up better than many
up
software
just under
stocks,
10%.
so maybe not a big deal that it's backing off a little bit.
All right, so we're going to turn the calendar in a couple of days. We just had the 2-minute warning.
For everything,
we talk about what's going to make the most difference.
That is in the name
Yields
of
are down today. That's obviously
transparency.
stocks getting a boost. Sure. That's going to remain key.
I'm in
What
Microsoft
about
calls.
the idea of
I'm going to
earnings
hold it for a little
revisions?
bit.
Yep.
You can't. We're not
See
going to be
if I
able
can
to
just get some
handle.
see if I can just
all
get
of a
a
sudden, these
get a
earnings
move
revisions
higher.
coming in lower as September hits.
No, although I also don't think there's a really strong reason to expect there to be a big wave of downward
We'll see
revisions.
what
If you
happens.
think about the way GDP is tracking right now,
I'm
the
sure
credit
these things
side
will
of
be
things
down
has been
tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, there's
Maybe
been
they
some
will, maybe
kind
they
of,
won't be.
I guess hot and cold when it comes to the consumer this quarter. My point being, it
So-
doesn't feel as if there's necessarily a lot of shock value to what might happen in September.
Well,
the
there's
difference
the bell.
is, and this, strangely enough, this is one of those storylines as to why sometimes you get downward revisions in September is everyone's away in August and you come back and analysts have to update their models and you have the regular pre-announcements and the regular kind of nip and tuck of what we're going to expect in the consensus, and that sometimes does hit. But I totally agree. I mean,
Hope you guys had a
if
great
the market
day.
pullback was just about
That's a nice little area of support.
moderating
So
sentiment
I'm
and
in. I got in
valuation
calls
and
today at
positioning,
the end of the
it's
day.
done a lot of that, but the
We'll
valuation
see what
side
happens with
has
these.
only been helped
If
out.
we can just get up to like
the consensus forward earnings
325.
Still the heart of the bear argument, right?
If we can just break up to 325 or so,
earnings are too high.
and
absolutely, they're staying
really
2024
get this
is
thing
too high
going,
right
that
now,
would be
especially
really
second
cool.
half.
You can hear
That'd
the
be really
cheering.
cool, right?
We are
That'd
going to
be
go
really
out
cool.
to match it in the green.
It's so cool.
Dow's going to go out. Looks like better than 200 points.
Yeah, I hope you guys had a great day. I'm gonna do the live stream here in about 2 hours or so. I'm gonna have. If you guys have any charts, I'll set it. Throw charts in the comment section, and we'll cover them.
Well, stocks higher.
And I'm going to cover the charts, kind of give you my thoughts on today,
August. That is the scorecard on Wall Street, but the action
which
is
I
just
already
getting
did
started.
for the most
Welcome
part.
to
But I don't know.
Overtime.
That's
I'm
it.
Morgan
I'm going to be
Brennan with
throwing. I'm going to
John
give you
Ford.
guys some
Coming up
charts.
this hour,
I'm going to look for some
Zillow
trade ideas
co-founder
because I'm awake.
Spencer
I'm alive right now.
talks
I got a
all
little bit
things
of sleep. I'm
housing
ready
as
to get
tight
to work.
supply and sky-high
Fucking market's
mortgage rates
closed.
put pressure on the real estate
And here I am,
market.
just waking up.
Plus, weighing the impact of an auto strike.
Anyway,
the United Auto Workers Union
I'll see you
granting
guys just
its
a couple
leadership
hours.
the
Thank you
authority
guys
to
for
call
hanging
strikes
out.
as it negotiates with
If you guys
GM,
have any
Ford,
other
and
questions, you
Stellantis,
can throw
a
them in
move
the
that
chat
could
real quick
impact
or
the
whatever.
entire
and-
economy. We will discuss the possible fallout.
But
I know.
first, let's begin with our
It was
market panel as
crazy,
we kick
but
off this final week of August. Joining us
it
now is Lisa
rejected.
Shallot
That's
of
what's
Morgan
worrying
Stanley
me.
Wealth Management, and
We'll see.
Scott
We'll
Wren
see
of
where we
Wells
wake
Fargo
up tomorrow,
Investment
or you know, we'll see where we gap up,
Good
or what
afternoon
happens.
to you both. Lisa, I'll start with
180
you.
calls
I mean, the
from
pullback
56,
we've
they broke out
seen,
sold
yes,
for
we're
half
higher
that
on the
up,
day
up
right now
90.
for the major averages, but we're still poised
Yeah,
for,
what's that
for
on,
losses on the month. Is this just a summertime pullback after a strong run to start
On
the year
Apple?
that's to be expected, or could it be more?
You know, our perspective is that there's more going
Yeah.
on here, and that
Nice.
you
I
know,
went
what
with
we're
Microsoft.
seeing is markets struggling.
I took Microsoft
to
instead.
figure out how
That's
long
some nice volume
rates
on
are
Apple,
going to
though.
be higher for
End of
longer.
day.
The move in real rates,
That's some nice
we
volume.
believe, is a material headwind to stock valuation
Wonder.
multiples.
I don't know if
and
Microsoft's
our
looked
best
like
guess
that.
is that stocks are trying to figure out
it
that
does.
calculus with regard
All right,
to
so
the direction
let's
of rates.
Yeah, Scott,
hopefully
I wanted your
we're all-
thoughts on that
we're all in
too,
the right
because,
place here.
Yes, we've seen
Let's see what
yields
happens.
take a breather today, but the rapid
The only
climb
thing
we
that
have
sucks
seen
is
in
we might
interest
get a little
rates.
time decay if we
How
don't
much
open
pressure does
up,
that
but we'll
put
just
on the stock market
see.
here?
Try
Yeah,
your
Morgan,
best
I think
tomorrow
it
to
does
see
put
where,
pressure on
like,
the
how
stock
things,
market,
where
and
we
not
open
that,
up,
you know, even
but
if
where
we
we
trade
close
to
tomorrow. That's
4.5
going
or
to tell us
something
if
like
we're
that
really
on
going to
the
get
10-year,
this bounce
I mean,
or
that's
not.
not the end of the world by any
So
stretch.
if
but
we
I
gap
think
down,
when we think of
you know,
rates, we don't
don't
think rates
be
are going
too
to go a
hesitant.
whole lot
Like,
higher
don't
from
just be
here.
quick to
But
sell
we
them.
certainly think the Fed
You
is
know,
not done hiking interest
because you're going to have
rates.
people buying them there.
We think that they're going to
Things
be
like that.
higher
We're going to get a
for
little bit of
longer.
decay overnight, but good job on taking profit
really,
tight.
when
That's
you
how
look
you
at,
can. That's how you manage
some of
your
the
risk.
headwinds that are out
Right?
there. In our opinion, earnings estimates
Taking
are too
half
high.
off. That way you've collected,
credit's
you've
tighter
pretty
out
much
there, and that's not
collected
going to
profit
change
and paid for
anytime
that little
soon.
bit
So
of theta that's
I
going to
think,
happen
you know,
overnight.
if we
You're good to go.
tested the
That's what's
recent
up.
highs,
I'll see you
we'd
guys
have
in a
heck
couple
of hard
hours, all
time
right?
Getting through that. So we're looking
If you
for
want,
a pullback
when I
from
post
here.
it, there's
We're
some
fading this rally. We've
stuff
been
that you
doing
have
really on the
in the chat, but I'm
most
gonna
of the way up.
Lisa, so
I'm gonna
what's
cover
an
the markets.
investor to do? Because the danger
I'm going to
is,
go over a couple charts.
stocks
I'm going to get
never
to you
have
guys
a
know.
big
I'm sorry.
plunge
I'm dragging it on.
overall,
I'll
and
see you
so
guys
folks
in a
are
little
waiting
bit.
on the sidelines for something that for an entry point that never really arrives. So how do you avoid missing out?